instead of proving, oh, I'm trying to show you something, trying to be somebody, prove, sharing, it's actually humble. It's like, I'm going to share this with you because I want to give it. Hey dancers, it's Kirsten. Welcome back to the Confident Dancer YouTube channel. Today I'm going to share with you a video on 6 beliefs or mindset shifts that I made to have the audition season of my life years ago. This is going to be so valuable because honestly I can tell you that where I was years ago when I had the audition season of my life was I was a senior at the University of Utah and I was 22 years old. I had already done some audition seasons in the past when I was graduating from the Houston Ballet Academy, and I ended up deciding to go to college, but this was really the season where I was like, okay, it's time to make my dreams come true. And I am so thankful. I had an epiphany that year where that was really the year when I recognized that my mind is powerful. All of our minds are really powerful. I started to recognize just sheerly through observation and curiosity and experimentation and intuition that, wait, the way I've been thinking is optional. My mindset is flexible, and I started to realize that the way I was thinking changed the way I felt. It changed the way I felt about the future, the way I performed, and I just knew it would have a big role to play in my success in audition season. Why? I can tell you the exact moment that things changed for me. I was getting ready to go into a rehearsal, and I was listening to some of my fellow dancers in the top level of the school there talking about audition season. Now, I happen to have the benefit of knowing that some of them who were talking had never actually been to a company audition before. And I heard some of them saying things like, spring is going to be miserable. And in that moment, my world changed because I realized, wait a minute, that dancer who just said that had never been to a company audition before. So I just knew from watching so many groups of seniors go through the top level where I was the whole time I was at the University of Utah, I knew that there were some who were predicting that auditions would be stressful, they'd be terrible, they'd be miserable, anxiety-inducing, discouraging, so on and so forth. And I just knew from observing them, the way they thought created that experience for themselves, or at least made it some sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So in that moment, I was like, hold on, how do I want to start thinking about auditions? And that's really when I got super curious about the power of my mind. This was before I ever read a psychology book, I ever read a self-development book. This was before I got trained as a coach or even knew that I would eventually become a high performance mindset coach and work with some of the top dancers in the world like Paris Opera Ballet, New York City Ballet, Boston Ballet, SFB, so on and so forth, okay? This was before I even knew all this was gonna happen. And I just had this springtime, this audition season that I think was a huge turning point for me at my dancing, where I recognized how powerful our mentality is as dancers to either help us or hinder us. So I'm excited to share with you these 6 beliefs and mindset shifts that I made during that time in my life that really gave me the audition season of a lifetime. I can tell you, I not only am so proud of how I performed, it was an empowering and exciting time in life for me. I felt actually excited to go to my auditions. I felt hopeful about the future. And you guys, I definitely wasn't the best one in any of these rooms. I can tell you that. But out of the 6, yeah, and I can't believe I only did 6 company auditions. Now I'd recommend dancers do more. But something possessed me. I only did 6. And out of those 6, I got offers from 2. And 1 ended up turning into a contract. So that was my experience. And I'm so excited to share with you what I learned from that time. Now, if you don't know me, I am, like I said, a high-performance mindset coach for dancers. I now help dancers master the mental side of dance and really build a confident and healthy mentality that helps you to perform your best consistently. And I especially specialize in helping dancers overcome things like performance anxiety, self-doubt, comparison, perfectionism, things like that, imposter syndrome, the gamut. So If that's something you'd like further support in, check out theconfidentdancer.com. You can learn more about the support that I offer through online programs, individual and just online courses, and schedule a free 30-minute consultation if you're interested in discussing what it would look like to work together and honestly see if it would be a great fit for you. No strings attached. So check that out, and without further ado, let's get into the rest of the episode. Here's the first shift I made. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. Okay? And another sub point to that is I'm not for everyone, and that's okay, but I am for who I'm for. A lot of dancers understand this logically, but you don't let it sink into the felt level that it's okay to not get a result or validation externally from every audition. I think a lot of us would logically agree with that, but then when we actually don't get our number called back or something, or don't get an offer, or don't get into a program, we make it mean something about ourselves. Like, oh, your rejection means I'm not good enough. And I think where that's coming from is a deeper assumption that you should get some sort of positive validation from everybody. Or maybe not that so much as you should be for everyone. You should be good enough, whatever that means, for every program, for every company. But that's simply not true. It is 100% good, actually, that you're not for every company. That would mean they're all the same, right? Or for every program, that would mean they're all the same. You gotta go out there and experiment and see what lands and what doesn't. It is totally okay that some companies or programs are going to be looking for a kind of dancer that's similar to you, and then some won't. It doesn't actually mean much of anything about you. And so if you go into it like, for some, not for everybody. I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. Or as one of my friends used to say, you can't win them all. You win some, you lose some, and that's just the way it goes. When you like really embrace that, like, yeah, I'm going for no's, actually. There's gonna be a yes mixed in there somewhere, but it's gonna be in the forest of no's. But that doesn't mean I don't have anything to offer. It doesn't mean I'm not for that one company or program who's so ready to offer me a yes, okay? So see these auditions as like you're knocking on doors. You're waiting to see, ooh, which one's gonna open? The ones that stay shut, that's okay. Don't let it mean anything about you. And I know that's sometimes easier said than done, but if you go into your auditions with that grounded acceptance, yeah, I'm going for no's sometimes. I am not for everyone, and that's okay. I have a specific skill set to offer, and so I'm just going out there to see where it lands, where there's a mutual match of what I give is what you're looking for, and that's where we come together. The next mindset shift I made is one that's really rooted in faith, and I'm so passionate about it because I really believe in the power of faith. It is the confidence in what is not yet seen, and it is an essential mental practice for healthy risk-taking and putting yourself out there and seeing the results that some part of you is like, man, I never could have imagined that. It takes faith to take steps out like that, you guys. So let's stop trying so obsessively to be realistic with ourselves all the time. You know, I know it's popular to say on Instagram, but sometimes we need a little delulu, and I call that faith. Faith, my friends. So here's the mindset shift I made. There is a company out there who is looking for a dancer like me, and who is excited to find that match, who is excited to receive what I have to offer. I don't know how long it's going to take for us to match. I don't know how many auditions I'll have to go to. I don't know where it is or what the name of the company is yet, but there is some place out there who's looking for a dancer like me. All right, you might say, but what if it's not true? Yeah, what if it's not true? We don't know until we go out there and try. But I really believe that with this mentality, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you really are willing to be flexible and put that faith in and the work in and go find a company or a program that you're a match for, there are way too many companies and programs out there in the world to not go find one. Now, it's a matter of how long are you willing to go? What are you willing to try? Where are you willing to go? It is totally fair if your willingness is to try for 1 year. that's okay. And then if you don't make it in that 1 year, at least you know you put some parameters around your efforts and you did what you feel you could. And then you can accept it as like, all right, I went for it. I'm proud that I gave myself a chance. Maybe I'll revisit it at another time. But so far, that's the amount of time I'm willing to put in. That's okay. But I really do believe that pretty much anything is possible if we're willing to be flexible and take the time and be flexible in our approach and action to get there. So this faith and this belief really can be a self-fulfilling prophecy if you allow it to be. And if we're getting actually really pragmatic, sometimes we practice being realistic in the name of pragmatism, but what we're actually doing is limiting ourselves and being pessimistic. We're being negative. And that's where dancers, I find, especially in dancers that I coach, we tend to have a really complicated relationship with the idea of being realistic. And so I love having conversations around that and coaching dancers through it. Like, yeah, I promote looking at the truth. I promote looking at facts. I promote logic and wisdom. Please use it. But sometimes wisdom is putting the faith into walking in the direction you want to go. Sometimes that's really what you need, and that's the wisest thing you can do. Instead of just looking at your current mood, your current circumstances, and letting that define what you think is realistic. If that's what we did from the time we were babies, girl, we wouldn't have even learned how to walk. All right? So it takes some faith. And sometimes I think that faith is the most pragmatic thing that you can do or practice. The third mindset shift I made is shifting from proving energy to sharing energy. Y'all, this was one of the biggest changes I've ever made because I realized that if you just feel this out for a second, if you imagine proving yourself, how does that feel different to you energetically than sharing what you have to offer? With proving, it's coming from a place of scarcity and lack. I need to prove something to you that isn't really true unless you validate to me that you also think it's true. I need to prove that I'm a good dancer to you. Okay, there's a little bit of part of that mentality that's kind of like it's not real unless you, external person, validate that it's real. It's not coming from this embodied place of I am, I have, I can do, and I'm just sharing that with you. That's very different than I need to prove something to you. Huge, huge shift. And I hope that you feel that. Auditions are really just a place for you to generously share the best of what you have, your favorite aspects of your dancing, and to share just a little sample of that. That's it. How does that mentality feel different to you? I really encourage you to ponder that and feel it out for yourself. For me, when I started thinking of these situations, I used to think, oh, I have to prove myself on stage. I have to prove myself in this audition. The proving mentality always got me into fear, stress, stiffness, doubt. Whereas the sharing mentality got me into this place of like abundance. Like, yeah, I'm not perfect. Yeah, I have things to work on, but that doesn't mean I don't have things to share, things to bring to the table, things to offer. So I'm just going to focus on what I do have to give and share that generously as an act of service. That's so different. And notice how there's a lot less ego in that. Like, instead of proving, oh, I'm trying to show you something, trying to be somebody, prove, sharing, it's actually humble. It's like, I'm going to share this with you because I want to give it. So when you start to see your auditions in that way, at least for me, it really turned things around, and I hope it does for you too. The next mindset shift is one I've talked about quite a lot on my channel and on my Instagram page. By the way, Kirsten _the confident dancer. If you're not already following me there, you should. This is the mindset shift of how I feel about my dancing is how I'm suggesting to others they should feel about it. I so deeply believe in this one, and I've seen it bear out in reality again and again and again, is that the feeling that we have about ourselves in everything that we do, whether it's what we're saying at a social event, or a question we're asking, or the dancing that we're sharing with someone, if we are feeling like, oh, but I don't really know what I'm talking about, or oh, but it's really not that good, or you're feeling critical, stressed, insecure, that comes out in your body language. And feelings are so contagious. We feel them from each other. We can see someone feeling a certain way about themselves, and it signals to our little subconscious minds like, oh, well, they must not know what they're talking about. Oh, they must not know what they're doing. Oh, even if I think they're doing something well, it must be a fluke. I've seen dancers do a triple pirouette on point, and in their body language, they react to it like, oh, whoa. Or another is just like, I could walk into a room and see two dancers for the first time and only see them do that pirouette and then leave. And the one who has insecure body language around it, I'm going to think, oh, that was a fluke. They don't normally do that. The other one, I'm going to think, oh, that was easy for them. They must be good at turning. But all I have to base that off of is their body language before, during, and after they do the turn. So feelings are really contagious. If you are embodying confidence, self-acceptance, enjoyment, all that stuff, it's going to come out in your body language. People can feel it from you. And since an audition is a very condensed time where you really are giving them a sample of what you have to offer, if you're offering that sample like, I'm so excited to share this with you, I think it's awesome, I'm enjoying it, then, and you have that enthusiasm and that confidence, or whatever the feeling is that you want to embody, it's going to send a subliminal message to them that that's how they should feel about you. And I genuinely think this is the one mindset shift that caused heads to turn towards me in a room full of dancers, some of which were technically stronger than me. So, and I just gave that to you for free. You're welcome. Okay. Genuinely, you guys, practice that. Clarify how you want to feel about your own dancing, and practice tapping into that. Of course, if you do need some help and you feel like there are some insecurities, fears, beliefs that are getting in your way of really feeling the way you want to feel about your dancing, again, theconfidentdancer.com. You can look into what support would look like around that. I offer mindset coaching programs to actually help you shift out of that and shift into a truly confident state of mind and belief about what you have to offer as a dancer. So know that support is available. Please reach out if you need some help around that. I don't want you to keep suffering. The next mindset shift that I made is your predictions are powerful. Assume the best. Going back to my original story about audition season, my senior year, when I had that huge epiphany about how powerful our mindset is, I recognized that the dancers around me were predicting and assuming what these future auditions would be like for them. And I just had this deep sense of knowing from what I had observed in watching many senior classes go through audition season, is the ones who were predicting this is going to be stressful, this is going to be terrible, they went into it with that mentality, and then they were focused on, through the confirmation bias. By the way, our brain is designed with the confirmation bias like literally ingrained in us. So whatever we believe, our brain actually goes and sorts through all the information in our environment and distorts it, generalizes it, deletes it to confirm what we already believe is true. So if you're like, oh, this is stressful, this is going to be so stressful, you're going to pick up on the information that confirms what you already believe. You're going to be like, oh, that combination is so hard, or oh, there's so many dancers in this room. You're going to pick up on that rather than information to match a more positive belief. Like, this is going to be a really cool, fun, it's kind of like a master class. You're going to be like, great, there are so many dancers here from all over the world. I'll get to watch them, interact with them, learn from them. I'm so lucky to be in this room. You're going to have a wildly different reaction just depending on what you already believe and are predicting will be true. So when you know this, when you know that your predictions are powerful, and you, my friend, you have the power, you are in control, you have the power to change your predictions and therefore change the quality of the information that you pick up on. and you have the power to start a new self-fulfilling prophecy. And I can tell you this because I've experienced it, so I know it's true. When you understand that it is not only within your power, but it's also your responsibility to be mindful of your predictions, you can make better ones. Start to assume the best. Ask yourself, what if this audition season were fun? What if it were exciting? What if it were empowering? Okay, I'm gonna go look for information to validate the reason why it's exciting. How could I make it exciting on purpose? When you start predicting things like that and then creating solutions around like, okay, how can I make that true for myself? You're going to create an empowering self-fulfilling prophecy rather than a negative one by accident. Create a positive one on purpose instead of just letting your negative default predictions create a really unhelpful and unfulfilling experience for you. The last mindset shift I'm going to share with you today is face your fears and ask yourself, what am I going to do about it? Okay, fear is the most natural and normal thing to experience in response to an upcoming event like an audition. You care a lot about it. I know you want to do a good job, and yes, there are challenges to it. It's a brave, courageous, and yes, difficult at times thing to do, but you are doing it. And so I am a huge believer in looking at your fears straight in the face, and instead of just numbing to them or trying to avoid them or pretend they're not there, that just causes them to still control you underneath the surface. Instead, channel that courage to look it straight in the face and say, okay, what am I really afraid of? That no company will accept me? Okay. First, what are some things I can do to get what's my desired outcome, and what are some things I can do to give myself the best possible chance at the desired outcome? And then say, all right, if my worst fear were to happen, what would I do about it? How would I move forward? And what this does is, I think beneath every fear, there's that core fear that, oh my gosh, it's going to be the end and I'm going to die, okay? And so when you actually future trip and on purpose and you say, all right, what would I do about it if this happened? You are actually leading yourself and showing your brain life would go on and here's how, okay? It's going to diffuse some of the fear. And again, if you create solutions around like, okay, how can I create my desired outcome? And how can what can I do to specifically prevent this worst fear from happening? It's going to give you a lot more of a sense of security and self-leadership and really empowerment rather than letting your fears control you. Because everybody's got fears. Everyone has them. It's all about how you relate to them that determines the quality of your life. I really believe that. So dancers, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun filming it, and really I'm so passionate about these ideas. They genuinely changed my life, and I'm so grateful, thank you God, that I had these epiphanies. Again, just honestly at the time through intuition, observation, and experimentation. And it's been so cool to see these mindset shifts actually play out. Like the more I've become educated and built my credentials as a coach and worked with lots of dancers from all over the world, I've seen that these actually do really work. And so hopefully that also gets you to trust the power of your own intuition and ability to just be conscious, ask good questions, observe, and you can also make changes like the ones that I made. And again, if you want support with that, you know where to find me, theconfidentdancer.com. But I just want to remind you, you're powerful and you're capable. So I'm wishing the very best for you, and I'm looking forward to hearing the success stories that you have in your upcoming auditions. So take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.